we kick off 2014
with a look back at the best of Inside MMA 2013.
As always, we give you our best. Inside MMA is on. Whoop. Hello, 2014, and welcome into our show, The Newsmakers, the highlights, the funniest moments from a year ago. I'm Kenny Rice. He is the legend, Boss Rutan.
Boom! I'm very much looking forward to this show. This is always great. Wrap it up the year, see what happened. Some things we still remember, some things we don't. You know, and then suddenly go, how did I forget that? And those moments, you are going to get at home.
One thing we cannot forget is the shakeup at the top of the many UFC weight classes that surprised and shocked several people, maybe everyone at times last year. Yep. Appropriately, 2013 ended with Anderson Silva trying to prove that he still is the king, and Ronda Rousey hoping to prove that once again she is the queen of the sport. Ron Kruk takes a look back at all of the year and the challenge of many champions.
Guys, Anderson Silva's gruesome leg break at last weekend's UFC 168 event was a harsh reminder that no one in MMA is invincible. In 2013, long-reigning champions lost their titles, and others were lucky to leave the octagon with their belts. The UFC's hierarchy of Anderson Silva, George St. Pierre, and John Jones were no longer viewed as unbeatable rulers of their respective weight divisions. Out of the 8 men's UFC weight classes, only 3 champions defended their titles with relative ease.
Still!
Heavyweight Cain Velasquez earned 2 dominant TKO victories. Interim bantamweight champ Renan Barão stretched his unbeaten streak to 32 straight with 2 title defenses. And Demetrius Johnson made an argument for why he should be considered Fighter of the Year by taking out 3 flyweight challengers. Other title holders were tested. Women's bantamweight champ Ronda Rousey had a scare against Liz Carmouche at UFC 157 and was forced into the 3rd round for the first time in her career against Miesha Tate last weekend. And featherweight title holder Jose Aldo had his hands full with both Frankie Edgar and Chan Sung Jung. But John Jones and George St. Pierre were pushed to the brink. After dispatching Chael Sonnen in April, Jones narrowly avoided a shocking upset against challenger Alexander Gustafsson at UFC 165. The 5-round war had Jones battered but not beaten, and the champ escaped with a controversial unanimous decision victory.
George Rush St. Pierre.
After taking out arch-enemy Nick Diaz in March, George St. Pierre had his toughest title defense ever against Johnny Hendricks in November. Many believed Hendricks did enough damage to win the fight. However, the judges disagreed and awarded the champ a razor-thin split decision victory. While Hendricks may not have sent him into retirement, GSP would vacate the title a month later, citing personal issues.
I have to go away for a little bit.
Finally, 2 belts changed hands last year. After holding the middleweight title for 7 years, an incredible 2,457 days, Anderson Silva was defeated when Chris Weidman shocked the world by KOing the once invincible Spider in October. Although the rematch would come to an abrupt halt when Silva snapped his leg attempting a low kick, Weidman was in control of the fight and well on his way to proving his first victory was no fluke. And finally, former WEC champion Anthony Pettis earned his first UFC title when he took the lightweight belt from Benson Henderson in August. 2013 confirmed in the fight game, the end is always near, as two of the UFC's most bankable stars, Anderson Silva and George St. Pierre, may have entered into the octagon for the final time. But young challengers emerged, not only closing the skill gap between themselves and some of the divisional rulers, but also putting an end to any super fights from happening. Finally, we were also reminded last year that challengers better finish the champ if they want to become the champ. Guys, back to you.
That is a 24-karat golden tie.
That is, and a 24-karat golden report. Thanks, Ron. Great points he made about finishing the champ. That's the way you better. That's the only way you're going to win a fight, just about. You got to finish the champ. And, yeah, those super fights. Nobody's been talking about a super fight lately, have they?
No, they don't.
No, they kind of went away.
Yeah, with the Anderson Silva loss, of course.
Yeah, that's so, and Silva and GSP sitting on the sideline now for a while. And here is the changing of the guard at the top spot. Looking over the last 4 years of a period of 08 to 12, there were 5 different heavyweights. Now Cain Velasquez looks like he's solidified that. John Jones, after 4 light heavyweight champs in that 4-year period, certainly is the best. And then Silva and Weidman this year, 2 titles in 2013. How about that in the middleweights? George St. Pierre, of course, giving it up in the welterweight ranks, although we expect him back, and Anthony Pettis taking the title from Benson Henderson in the lightweight. Biggest surprise of the year, obviously, was Chris Weidman, as we talked about last week, on the Bozzies as the upset of the year.
Yeah, that was not good. Never place your feet together. That's what I say. Never. That's what I said.
That's what he said, and that's what he says, and that's why we keep this show moving along.
Let's keep it moving.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, controversy. Controversy?
No.
Controversy?
In MMA, there's no controversy.
No. Big, strong men would never need testosterone replacement therapy, would they?
No, they don't need to.
But wait, some obviously do. Meanwhile, even though they aren't all marching out to dark side of the moon, and there's no Doritos in the corner, apparently, marijuana use was up in 2013, frowned upon by some, but now a nod late in 2013 to a toke. But just how much? Both were in the news throughout 2013.
At one point, I was like, hey, listen, it's sports medicine, it's legal, the commission, and now I don't like it anymore.
If we're really going to clean up this sport, let's do it by the toughest way possible.
The athletes that are using out there know a heck of a lot more than most of the commissions do about performance-enhancing drugs, and that's just wrong.
Nevada's executive director, Keith Kaiser, said overall he is satisfied with his commission's current drug testing process, but they are always trying to improve.
We don't take things to hurt us. We take things to help.
You're stronger, faster, more explosive, all the same results you'd get from doing a performance-enhancing drug.
He's a guy who's currently taking TRT and doesn't deny it, and in my opinion, that's not the definition of a champion.
You don't need to apologize for that. I don't feel bad about it.
That's right. Let's try to separate marijuana from performance-enhancing drugs. Basically, one penalty is the same for either using the dope some way or pumping up on the juice.
I don't want to fight high. I'm not trying to smoke before I get in the cage. Take a bong rip ringside. I'm not trying to do that.
Pat Healy earned not only the submission of the night, but the fight of the night bonus as well, totaling $135,000. That was until he tested positive for marijuana.
Well, I mean, for me, man, it's a no-brainer. I learned my lesson. I'm done with marijuana.
I'm trying to be able to use my medicine maybe 2 weeks prior to a fight so I get decent sleep during my training camp.
I mean, you can't lose that much money and come out thinking like, hey, I've got something to prove now with it.
And never in the sport had anyone been hit as hard as Pat Healy with his suspension and loss of a 6-figure paycheck.
And especially when they changed the rule like a month further.
Just after that, they changed
half.
the rule that marijuana is allowed up to certain nanograms, which I know, and you know, is going to create more problems because someone said, I smoked up to this amount, and they'll say, well, you just crossed the line. You were just, one toke over.
Just at the new potent, new version from Baba Kush, whatever they call it, and it was a little bit more, one toke, put you over the limit, and you're going to lose also all your bonuses. It's not going to be fun.
TRT, does it really help? Well, you heard what John Jones said. A real champion doesn't need testosterone replacement therapy.
There you go.
You take a look at this list. No one of current championship on the list, and only one with a winning record. That was Belfort at 3-0 in 2013. The average age of these guys, 35.8 years. So, you know, I can see where maybe they're looking for that little boost, that little edge. One thing about TRT, though, boss, that still puzzles me is why doesn't everybody know then who is on TRT? The Nevada State Athletic Commission makes exceptions, but you really got to dig to find out how many guys, if we had interviewed, they didn't realize the guy they were fighting was on TRT till after the fact.
Yeah, no, they should really tell you before you're going to fight this person. You know, is there something you can do? No, but it's nice to know.
Or, in the case of looking at the record, except for Belfort, maybe it doesn't matter.
If Belfort would be taken off, it would be a record of 4-8.
Yeah.
So, and I always said it, you know, once you go to that route, and especially, listen, when you're older, I can understand. Once you turn up 45, but you go there because you're insecure about yourself, because you think you're not strong enough, you can't keep up, you know, there's already an insecurity going on, and this is the worst one. They say, yeah, but everybody else is doing it. You know, that's their excuse, apparently, to do it. And it doesn't work, as you can see. You know, there's a lot of losses there.
And the biggest bust of the year, as Pat Healy told us, you heard in that clip looking back, was for pot.
Yeah.
$135,000 he lost.
Yeah, I feel
in
really
bonuses,
bad about that
suspended 90 days, and his boss said not really sure how far he was over the limit of what exists now, because that came after the fact when they said, okay, we're going to allow our fighters to smoke marijuana up to a point, and it's still, that point's going to be very unclear till we have to deal with it in 2014.
And especially if you know what his starting money was from Pat Healy. It was probably together maybe $20,000 to $5,000 bonus.
Huge.
You see, so that was a huge amount.
And more huge stories as we look back on 2013 when we come back.
We'll be back.
Relive the best highlights, biggest news, and funniest moments of 2013 when the best of Inside MMA returns.
What's up, everybody at Inside MMA, Ultimate Fitness, and Team Alpha Male want to wish you a happy holiday!
Tell you, talk about best of the years, Uriah and Team Alpha Male, what a great year they had in 2013. Welcome back into the show. There were a lot of great fights, and you saw them here, at least a lot of them, on Access TV, your home for
mixed martial arts.
And you know what we're going to do now?
Highlights.
Good idea. Oh. Here's the way it looked last year on Access TV.
Elbow from Leeds. Oh, Spratt's been caught. This one's over. Spratt is laid out. Oh, right hands. Here comes Elby putting a shocking on Silver. Overhead with the big kibosh. The big kibosh. The big kibosh. Brito could be in trouble here. Oh, look at the blood. My word. Did you see that? Shot to the guts, Herder. Knudsen in trouble. Could be all over now. Tied for Chinese. Washington is absolutely astral traveling right now. There's the right down the tube, hitting him on the orbital. Oh, right hand from Garcia, throwing heavy artillery.
One of the best fights I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, the head kick. The choke for Garcia. Has he got it? Good night, Irene. Looks for an armbar here. Does Ibarra? This is his specialty. And he does it again. Slick the arm in for the armbar. Yes, it's good night, Irene. Across the throat from Fallon Fox. Alana Jones taps out in the third and final round. Here comes Joby Sanchez, House of Fire, with the elbow that Roman knows is going to be Roman all over his face. It's good night, Irene. Sergio, the Phenom, Gonzalez.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113
shakalaka, bang again with the right hand. It's good night, Irene! Oh, he gets tagged with the right hand. It's good night, Irene! Oh, that big, come on! There's the violence! I told you!
Oh, it is all over! Holly Holm with the brutal high kick.
Gonzalez looking for the armbar. Can she find it? Yes, she can! Hell, Gonzalez wins the crown. It's good night, Irene!
Calling most of that action, Michael Chiavello and Pat Miletich, cage side all year. We know those guys. We talked to them.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I can watch this the whole show, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Really cool stuff.
Some great highlights.
Yep.
Pat and Michael now join us to recap that huge year that they called on Access TV.
What a banner year 2013 was for fighting, both in Muay Thai and mixed martial arts. So many highlights to choose from, but if I had to choose one in particular for me, it was the American debut of the great Jodson Clive Fairtex fighting Muay Thai in Lion Fight in Las Vegas. Jodson Clive Fairtex, the Muay Thai fighter of his generation, contender Asia champion, Lumpini and Rajdamoon Stadium champion, multiple world Muay Thai champion, had 2 fights at Lion Fight and destroyed both opponents. Pat, I know it was a highlight for you as well, seeing Jodson Clive Fairtex for the first time live.
Yeah, being ringside for the power that he brings, the technique, it's incredible to see somebody with that many fights, that much experience, and that legend that follows him. To sit ringside and watch him work is incredible.
Also, Pat, we discussed our mixed martial arts highlight of the year. We both came to the same conclusion. It was the fight that brought the house down in Miami, Florida, when unexpectedly Ashley Evans-Smith defeated transgender fighter Fallon Fox for the World Championship and derailed the hype train that Fallon Fox was riding.
Yeah, Ashley Evans-Smith, a girl with hardly any fights under her belt, a long layoff to boot, being brought in as I thought was a paid victim, and she came out of nowhere and really put it on Fallon Fox and beat somebody that really a lot of people didn't think was going to lose in female MMA.
You got to say, Pat, of all the fights we broadcast through 2013 on Access TV, that one there probably had the most emotion, both in the arena and fans watching at home.
Absolutely, the arena went nuts when she won that fight.
And there's plenty more to look forward to in 2014. I'm looking forward to more Muay Thai fights out of Lion Fights. We're going to see them again from the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. Pat, what are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to being next to you, Mike. I love working with you, buddy.
Me too. Plenty more action coming your way, folks, in 2014. Have a great Christmas and a Happy New Year.
And Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, guys.
Yes.
That was very nice.
Very nice.
They were very sweet there, weren't they? Very
sweet
nice.
guys.
Low key. Lots more coming up in the MMA year right here on Access, your home for
MMA.
Let's take a look at what is coming up in 2014. Boss, we're going to have our 350th episode later this year.
Nice.
The 250th Access TV Fights, 40 live MMA events. That's more live fights than any other network. Of course, we are the only weekly MMA show that isn't owned by a fight organization. That's why we're just here. We're just us. That's why we can show all these highlights from all over the world if we want.
The globe. I like the word the globe.
The globe. I like that.
Around the globe.
The globe. You know, one of the things, we've seen guys up-and-comers get reestablished, whatever the situation is. You know, think of all the fighters that have been on Access, before HDNet and then Access TV, that have gone on from our local fights, our regional fights, to the UFC. And in the top 10 in the UFC heavyweight division.
Whoa.
These guys.
Check it out. Check it out.
Look at these. All these guys fought on Access TV. Roy Nelson would have been in there. He just dropped out of the top 10 recently, you know, for Doom and Cormier, Bigfoot, Barnett, Hunt, Overeem. We've seen them all.
See?
Look at them.
That's how we do it here. With us, you see them growing up in front of your very eyes.
Yeah,
and then they make the step.
And there's nothing like seeing a 230-pound man growing up. Or 250-pound man
so
growing up right here. Yes.
You know, I get. You know, like Hunt. He kind of stayed the same, by the way. He got actually lost some weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but it is cool.
Yeah.
It is cool that we know that we did it in the past. We also had other numbers like Benson Henderson.
Well, we saw Benson Henderson over the years. We've seen Johnny Jones when he was coming up after a couple fights. Ronda Rousey, I think after her second fight, perhaps she was on our show.
Yep.
So
Sexy
that's just
chocolate.
some of those.
John
Yes.
Jones is still in my head. Can't get rid of it.
We'll never get rid of that.
That was here also.
Don't get rid of us.
Don't.
Give us about a minute and a half, and we'll be right back to continue to take a look back. Hold your breath. 2013 Retro.
Who made the most waves in 2013? And who made us say WTF? Find out when the best of Inside MMA returns.
Hi, I'm Holly Holm, and I just want to wish everyone at Inside MMA a Happy New Year.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, the UFC flyweight champion of the world. I want to wish everybody out there, including Inside MMA, a happy holidays and Merry Christmas.
Welcome back to Inside MMA's Best of 2013 as we rewind the year in mixed martial arts. Unfortunately, last year came to an abrupt close with an image and sound that will haunt those who love the sport forever. MMA legend Anderson Silva rolling on the octagon floor, clutching his fractured leg and screaming in agony. Dr. Steven Sanders, the UFC's orthopedic surgeon, performed successful surgery on Silva's leg and inserted a titanium rod into his left tibia. Dr. Sanders believes Silva can make a full recovery and had this to say about a timeline for a possible return.
Tibia fractures, though we can get them to heal, can have a slower healing. So in general, my prognosis would be of fracture healing somewhere in the nature of 3 to 6 months, but there's also soft tissue components that have to heal, and then of course a rehabilitative process as well. If I have to make a guess in less than 48 hours from the operation, I would say the fracture healing somewhere within 3 to 6 months, and attempting to train 6 to 9 months.
The lingering question is, at 38 years old, does Anderson Silva want to return to fighting? This week, Silva tweeted out a picture with the statement, quote, "I want to say thank you to all my fans and friends to support me at this moment. I wish a great and happy 2014 to all," end quote. Silva's longtime manager Ed Suarez had this to say about a potential return.
That's going to be 100% his decision. It's going to be up to him. I mean, I think Anderson will be able to do whatever he puts his mind to. Right now, I think his mind is just to heal up and stay with his family. So, of course, I'd like to see him again. Who wouldn't like to see him fight again? He's the greatest of all time, regardless of what has happened this year. But as his friend and as his manager, I want to see him do what's best for him and his family.
Ronda Rousey won't be away from the octagon too long, as the UFC announced that the women's bantamweight champ will defend her title against Sarah McMahon February 22nd. That was shocking news to number 2 ranked Kat Zingano, who had already been promised the title shot. Zingano told Inside MMA she is about 85% recovered from knee surgery and could have fought in February if given the opportunity.
I was upset. I was pissed. I felt blindsided. Not only was I promised the next title fight, I was promised the winner of Misha versus Ronda. And I lost a lot in this injury to those two specific people. I feel like no athlete, especially in this realm, is ever 100% healthy. You know, I've gone into a fight with some pretty big injuries before where I easily could have pulled out, where I had to do some things to mentally and physically get myself ready in a way that most people would quit. And I just don't have quit in me. I don't have die in me. And I know I could go out there and pull off that win.
And finally, tomorrow night, only 4 days into the calendar year, the UFC is staging their first event of 2014. UFC Fight Night 34 will be the promotion's first show from Singapore and features a main event between former Strikeforce welterweight champion Tarek Saffiedine and Hyun Gyu Lim. Saffiedine looks to make history and become the first Belgian fighter to get a victory in the octagon. Guys, the UFC has big plans for Asia in 2014 as the promotion is looking at doing at least 7 events on the continent. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Ron. Again, we hope everybody had a Merry Christmas, having a Happy New Year. About 4 days into this now. But It's never. Well, okay, it is too late. You know, we get to March or April, this wouldn't work, would it?
Yeah, that's how it goes, right?
That's how it goes. So now we're going to take a look back right now at some of the other big stories from 2013.
Check it out.
This is our chance on the big stage. This is what I've been waiting for my whole career.
What is the latest with Bellator? Are you going to be in that organization any longer?
No, I don't believe so.
Randy has tried to do more damage to this company than any fighter in the history of the sport.
We anticipated that kind of response from Dana, so it wasn't a huge surprise.
In a couple years, I'll probably forget I even fought in UFC.
I really just want to compete in a positive environment.
Tito Ortiz has fractured his neck, and because that fight is off, the entire PPV has gone to the sideline.
I don't want to get sued, frankly. While they said I'm released, ipso facto, I'm not.
She is one of the first openly transgender MMA fighters.
We're going to be in all sports. This is just the beginning.
Fallon Fox is not Rosa Parks, and he's making a mockery of women's MMA.
I don't care who you are. Somebody always has something stupid to say.
If for every one, there's 500 more people that have something positive to say and are super supportive.
They put a cadaver tendon in you, your body rejected it, and you had to start all over.
It's definitely the hardest thing I've ever been through.
It's just a matter of time before MMA's in New York.
For the fourth straight year, the Assembly didn't even bring it to the floor for a full vote.
New York's a pain in the ass. The problem with New York is it's all corruption.
And some real tragic news now in the world of mixed martial arts. Ramon Deckers died suddenly on Wednesday at the age of 43. Barry Meyer, the president of the Las Vegas-based Tough Enough promotion, passed away on Tuesday. Shane passing away from complications of a cardiac arrest. Our condolences to his family. Leandro Souza died as he was getting ready for a fight at Judo Brazil 43. But we cannot attribute this to cutting weight.
I don't recommend this to anybody.
We start the weight cut process 52 weeks before the fight. You should be at 7% body fat 3 weeks before weigh-ins. At that point, it's easy to make weight and stay healthy.
UFC Hall of Famer Matt Hughes, Shane Carwin, Simi Schultz, Brian Stan has announced his retirement.
You know, once I get the hip replacement, I'll never be 100% again.
The International Olympic Committee will vote on whether to add wrestling back into the Games after it was dropped in February.
If we were to lose the sport of wrestling in the Olympic Games, it would affect our culture.
Of course, the IOC changed that, and wrestling stays in the Olympics.
It's back in there until 2024. That gives us some more time to make it more exciting.
The UFC has given their fans an adult dose of reality by releasing 18 fighters from the roster. One-time top contender John Fitch was the biggest name to be let go. UFC veteran Yushin Okami was cut.
When the grass is cut, the snakes will show, you know?
Am I going to be friends with John Jones? No. Why? I don't care.
UFC welterweight Mike Pierce has his MRI results back after that controversial heel hook. Paul Harris got fired, thrown out of the UFC afterwards.
The guy is an asshole, whether it's intentional or not. There's no excuse for it.
Benjamin Brenza was recently cut from the UFC when allegations of neo-Nazi ties surfaced on the internet.
I have absolutely zero political, racist, xenophobic, or neo-Nazi ideas.
It's a huge milestone for women right now.
We're kicking the doors through and we're coming in.
It's just such a cool experience. It's a big honor.
Anytime Brock Lesnar fought, Anderson Silva versus Chael Sonnen 2, none of them have ever had the media coverage this has.
I didn't feel like I had to be the first, but I feel like I wanted to be in the UFC and be the UFC champion.
Someday, Cyborg and Rousey will agree on a catch weight.
And then now I'm ready, you know, I can fight, you know, anytime.
And of course, women continue to be one of the big stories in 2013 with Rousey, with Cyborg, with the whole thing that went on in the house, and then the fight eventually with Tate and Rousey. It was, you know, and one thing is, especially with George St. Pierre, taking time off, a hiatus, maybe a full retirement. We're not sure about that. I don't think he is. But that is a major draw going out the window of pay-per-view.
I think so, too. But you know what? Hey, new champions are coming, new people that they love, and people just simply love to watch them. And like you said, yeah, the women's division is also getting bigger and bigger. 2014 is going to be huge.
Our staff has put together this comparison of bantamweights compared to men bantamweights. Although before you call in or write in or email us, yeah, we kind of get that the women bantamweight division would be a little different if you did it on a pro rating base with the average weight of men.
That's it, because their weight, their heavyweight is way lower. So, but still, I kind of like those numbers. I didn't expect that.
That the men would finish more?
Yeah,
I
didn't expect that, but so close.
Okay. See, I think I was surprised that the men finished their fights more than the women. I didn't know that for sure. But again, you know, there's something to just talk about, have some fun with. That's UFC and Invicta fights. Because let's face it, you know, it's a real apples and oranges thing. It's like comparing Connecticut's basketball team to Arizona's basketball team. They're really very good, both of them.
The thing I do like, though, also, when you go to an Invicta show, for instance, every fight is exciting, even when it goes the distance. So that's a great thing as well. These women want a brawl. And we all know that, by the way. You know, look at the women we had. You know, I got scars everywhere.
I wasn't going to say that. But I'm glad you did.
I finally found a peaceful
I'm glad you did.
lady.
Well, one thing, here's the biggest thing that happened in women's. They found out that people would pay to watch them. Remember Invicta's deal, like when they blew up the computer or something? They had so many pay-per-view ones to get in.
2 times. It happened again now.
So that happened to them. Rousey remains one of the biggest draws. And let's face it, she's the face of the UFC. I mean, she's the one that's promoted more than any of the fighters out there right now. So as long as that's happening, as long as they're bringing in pay-per-view, they're getting interest, and more people are trying to get them on TV. The WSOF has just added that they're going to have a fight coming up later this month. It'll be their first championship fight in the women's ranks. So everybody's jumping in on the mix.
Everybody wants a piece of it.
And Holly Holm was one of the big stories as well in 2013. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the best of the whole year. Yes!
The whole year?
The whole year.
More of the best fight highlights on TV. And what's the best way to improve MMA in 2014? The experts weigh in on the best of Inside MMA.
Hello, this is Diego Sanchez, and I want to wish a big Happy New Year's to Inside MMA.
What's going on, guys? This is Chris Weidman, and I just want to wish Inside MMA a Happy New Year.
And a Happy New Year to you. Come. And to you. And to you.
To you. You. Hey.
When
like
is
the president always go like, hey, when he walks up.
He does that
like
a lot.
He knows everybody.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, except Congress. But let me ask you, when's the cutoff for saying Happy New Year?
Well,
you know, you get, what, about a week into it, you think?
No, if you see somebody that you didn't talk to before since New Year, you can still say it.
So that if I don't see someone that I haven't seen like since last May, I can say Happy New Year, May the 3rd?
Yeah, hey, by the way, you say, by the way. You say, hey, good to see you, by the way.
By the way,
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I didn't see you yet. See, just add a by the way.
That's the boss's etiquette segment that we're adding here in 2014. There'll be plenty more, we guarantee you, over the next 51 weeks.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of them are coming.
A lot of them. One of the things we pride ourselves on this show, since we started this in September 2007, was the fact that we covered not just the big organizations, not just the marquee guys out there.
Everybody.
Everybody. As we talked about earlier, look how it paid off with the likes of Jones and Rousey and Henderson and some of these guys along the way. So, here on Access TV, some of the great highlights. The best of the year.
Best of the bottom.
Best of the year from all around the world of MMA.
I'm better than Ben Henderson. I'm the best in the world at 155 pounds.
This is a fight I can win. I'm actually fighting a madman who's willing to take 5 punches just to give me one.
Ray's in trouble. I'm going to start to unload on him.
I want you to punch a hole in this chest.
Oh, got a big right.
She was really disrespectful to me recently, so I just wanted her to eat her words.
There were a lot of people that were doubting me and doubting my ability to compete at that level.
What an inspiration he is, man.
Wow.
Boston Tim, and I think at 145 in 3 years we're looking at a title contender in whichever major organization wants it.
I don't really have any bad feelings towards anyone in the organization. I had a good time there. They gave me an opportunity when no one else was giving me an opportunity when I was 3-0.
For me, luckily I haven't lost yet.
Earlier in round 2, and another takedown by Chandler.
This is so freaking awesome. This one was scary. Puck on his head, huh?
That was.
That was a scary one, especially after my neck surgery. That's not a good thing for your neck, let me tell you that.
There were some wicked knockouts this past year. We expect more coming up because I do think the highlights get better every year.
They do.
I don't know about everything else on this show, but that gets better every year. The highlights, the knockouts, the submissions, and the different ways and the different techniques that we're seeing. And even, I think, some better punchers. We're seeing more boxing kind of knockouts.
Coming in now again. It goes back and forth, back and forth. We saw the knockout of the year at the Buzz Awards.
Yeah,
you know?
Mayman.
We just saw that. Mayman
knocked out
versus
Gracie.
Yeah, so, no, that's the thing. You know, the skill level is getting better and better. There's some people that are focusing on the ground, and now they realize, okay, they figured me out, they know the ground, I got to focus a little bit more on striking. And although it's very close nowadays, you always excel more at one sport, I always say, you know, because there's more love for that. Not that I had. I love both. I don't care. Just put them away, you know? And whether you do with a knockout or submission, you shouldn't really care.
Good fight, good fight. That's it. Now, boss, something we don't say every day here, at least anymore. So let's go to the big map.
Oh, I love the big map.
And see all the places we went this past year in North America and down through Central America. And then, of course, in South America, Brazil, the home of jiu-jitsu, Africa. We were there with the EFC Africa promotion, Europe, 8 countries. How about that? We saw some great fighters over the years come out of there, like Conor McGregor. Asia, 14 countries.
Who does that? We
Australia, we were there.
Oh, down
okay, we haven't made Tasmania or New Zealand yet.
No.
We're going to give it a shot in 2014. Every continent we made this year, with the exception of Antarctica. I think actually we went there, but the camera froze.
That's us.
I think that was it.
Yeah, that's it. Holland also. No Holland.
No, I think we went to Holland.
Yeah, but no, but not with MMA because it's like outlawed there.
That's right.
Ooh, everything else is legal. Come on, dude. Wake up. And
we're going to talk more about that state where it's still illegal to have MMA. That's among the many things coming up. Stay with us.
When we return, the moments that made us laugh and the moments that left us scratching our heads. This is the best of Inside MMA.
This is Burt Watson, UFC site coordinator, and for all you good folks out there for Inside MMA, Happy New Year, baby, and we'll see you later.
He keeps it all together, just like we do here as we continue to look back at the best of 2013 on this, the first show of 2014 Inside MMA.
It's good. And the best of the year, Bodie. And I think right away Fort Fairlane and Ed O'Neill is in there. He's got that old song, was it? Booty time, booty time, booty time. Of course, it's booty there, but I just thought.
And just on that alone, you know that this is not all about punching, kicking, choking, and arm barring. Sometimes we have a little fun here.
We do.
Sometimes our guests do as well.
Yep.
Some of the crazy things that happened on this show in 2013.
Like MMA, like anything you love, there's an undercurrent of hate.
George here selling wolf tickets. The UFC is selling some wolf tickets.
I hate fans. I hate certain types of fans. I hate fans who aren't fans.
It's a disgusting, barbaric, entertainment event.
I used to do that with my birds.
They do the Harlem Shake.
Yeah, I was losing on the judges' scorecards, but that's just because they didn't say this.
See? Isn't it nice not to get hit in the face?
People do this and pay money to watch this kind of crap. To watch this kind of crap. To watch this kind of crap.
And there's still more.
Oh, wait.
There's more.
There's more. There's more.
I'm a superstar.
Today we were #1 on the not top 10 plays. No, we still lost to Mark Sanchez's butt tackle. You know, he did that ugly ass dance he always does.
He makes a good point.
I was trying to find out if he was truly a psycho. I forgot to ask him if he did kill small animals when he was a kid.
And I'm sure you'll edit that out. No way, that's staying in.
He continues the process of getting his back hair waxed.
There we go.
I'm down to fight, DTF.
So you're DTF. I'm feeling like ripping off our clothes.
And sometimes the rope in the neck, I'll be there and
I would go eat some buffalo wings and not even think about it.
I feel better now.
Sexy Yama.
And you know, we just gave Thompson more time than he's gotten since Kimbo Slice punctured his ear that time.
That was weird. It was
That
like somebody wrote was like a satellite dish.
That was it.
Like it hit and it sprayed out.
You know, my craziest moment, we saw Randy laughing. Remember, we interviewed Randy Couture, and we're looking behind him. There's all these holes behind him. It was like gunshot holes behind him.
It was like a scene from The Matrix. They were shooting at him, but
he's Randy
Captain
Couture.
America that he is, just goes like a little bit to
he
the
knocked
side.
a couple aside and dodged the rest.
That's what he does.
All right. Now, for other moments on this show, there's really not much you can... Okay, the only way you can describe it is say, WTF. What? Here are some of our favorite crazy, wacky moments from this year. Yes, over the weekend, Floyd Mayweather staying undefeated. But look who he walks out with. Lil Wayne and Justin Bieber. The guy's knocked out. The fight's over in round 1. It's okay. She's ready for round 2. Clodagh Angelo was fighting in Brazil last weekend. He climbed out of the cage, and he has left the building. A matchup, 160-pound catch weight, 6'1" apiece. Rutan is going for the rear naked choke.
He grabs him. He tries to do a neck break, but the neck is too long. That is over.
UFC lightweight John McGuire's rendition of Flashdance. He's a maniac. Ray Trujillo. Here he's getting ready to fight Leonard Garcia, but you know, like any real man, he wants to smell his best. Madison High in South Dakota, Michael McComish.
Man,
okay, so you're resetting.
Watch this.
On the mat.
Boom!
And then, this is Cheyenne Vlesmus, who is beating up Party Boy Ryan.
Do you guys really want to know what it's like to be Tim Kennedy? Yes, tell us. It's kind of like skyrockets in flight. Afternoon delight.
I think you guys got it.
He's going to kick the potato off his head. Is it going to be scalloped, mashed?
Use your chi. Powerful. I meant that to happen. I told you.
You knew it was coming.
His head. It worked.
Well, he did knock the potato.
That's what I mean. It's on the ground. He did it.
That's the one thing that we've shown here that I think most of us could do. Was kick that potato that way.
That way, yeah, I can do that.
No, you can do that regardless, but that
almost did it one time with a guy I didn't really like. He put a glass on his head. He says, "Boss, kick it off." I was thinking about it. I'm going to kick him full in the head. But then I thought, you know what? No, people are going to think my aim is off. I'm not going to do it.
No, and I was so glad that Tim Kennedy and those guys parodied Anchorman, because that movie's just not getting any publicity.
No,
it came out a couple of weeks ago, and nobody even knows if it's been out. It just never got any publicity.
One horsepower.
No commercials, no appearances.
Yeah.
You know, they've been on every show but this one.
ABC, anywhere, right?
You know, can we get Christina Applegate to come on this show?
That would be something.
Things to work for in 2014.
What was something?
We're just saying.
The daughter from Ed O'Neill, who was on our show.
Ed O'Neill was on our show.
You know?
Who's always a pleasure to be on.
He is a great guy.
Yeah, and he knows probably as much as anybody we've had on.
He really does.
More
He really
in
does.
some cases.
Yeah, no, he's in the business for a long time.
Coming up, Boss and I have opinions on what we want to see done in 2014 in MMA, and maybe in world peace too. We don't know.
How can fighting be improved in 2014? Our suggestions when the best of Inside MMA returns.
Happy holidays to all the MMA fans out there.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year for all of my fans from Inside MMA. God bless.
There's a pair of giants, and we will have more coming up in 2014. That's how we do it.
That's how we roll.
You say you want a resolution? Well, you know, we want to change the world.
I actually went to the Beatles show again at the Mirage. Great show last week.
And by the way, we want to thank everybody for coming out on New Year's Eve to the Dunes and seeing Boss and me. It was a great show.
We do requests.
We've thanked the dozens of you that came out and rang in the new year with us.
Yeah,
It really, right here.
Yeah, it touched me, you know. Every time we had to say thank you, sir, at table number 2 for the applause.
Yes, it was great.
I mean, like,
thank you, thank you. It was great.
Yeah, we had like 3 or 4 claps every time.
Yes.
We had a drummer, and every time when we made a point, he just took it, but apparently they didn't understand it.
Yeah, it probably started when we dropped a TRT athlete off the roof at New Year's. That might have been a little much.
Free alcohol.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to help.
That was too much.
Didn't help either.
No.
No, people on the floor.
You know, a lot of people on the floor.
Yeah.
We floored them that night, boss.
Yeah, we did.
If nothing else,
With alcohol.
All right, so now
we're not that good.
Now we're better. We'll be better in 14.
Yeah, we'll learn.
You'll want to see the show at the Sands coming up in a couple of months. That'll be, and the Desert Inn right after that. But in the meantime, we have decided to make some resolutions for the sport of MMA because we decided it's our show. Why not?
That's it. You know, that's what you do in the new year. You make New Year's resolutions.
Yeah, and it's better than our own, which we always break. Right?
Break it down.
Yeah, so we'll just make them for everybody else in MMA.
Yeah.
Here are some changes we'd like to see, starting with our own intrepid reporter, Ron Kruk.
Ron?
The UFC recently celebrated its 20th anniversary, proving MMA is still in its infancy, so rules can be changed without compromising the sport. At the top of my list is the need for more qualified, educated judges. And if the 10-point must-scoring system continues to be used, judges need to award more 10-8 and even 10-7 rounds if a fighter clearly dominates, and more 10-10s for a dead heat round. Of course, this would require buy-in from every judge and athletic commission. Even a half-point scoring system would work. And although anytime judging is involved, there's potential for controversy, continuing to score fights the current way is a disservice to the fighters, fans, and the sport. Season's beatings, and Happy New Year.
Wow, New Year's resolution for 2014. Resolutions are so hard to do because nobody sticks to them, but here's my New Year's resolution. My hometown of Melbourne, Australia is known as the sporting capital of the world. Only problem is you can fight mixed martial arts there, but not in a cage. Hopefully they legalise cages in 2014 in Melbourne so UFC can head down under, head to the sporting capital of the world and draw their biggest audience ever. I think they'd get 50,000 people in Melbourne if they have the cage for UFC. Pat, what's your New Year's resolution?
To stay standing and keep breathing, but on a serious note, if athletic commissions around the states could hire people that understand MMA, it will help immensely because you and I have witnessed what's gone on throughout the shows we've traveled to around the states, and it needs to be dealt with.
So we're writing our letters to Sansa. That's what we're hoping for in 2014.
All right, thank you, Ron and Michael and Pat, for that insight and that hope and wish and resolution.
Good luck
MMA.
with that, Pat, because that needs to get a little paycheck attached to the whole thing.
I think all made good points.
Yeah, no, they do.
And you would say?
I would say instant replay. We did it. That was my New Year's resolution also for last year. And I truly believe, you know, we've seen fights this year. Somebody get kicked in the pills. At least we think that he get kicked in the pills. Then the referee believes that person, takes a point away from the person who kicked, and then later in the slow motion, we see that he didn't kick in the pills at all. Now that person lost the fight, you know, and we see it happening over and over. I think an instant replay, we all know, in editing in the booth, when something happens, they only have to hit a button, automatically goes whatever they set it, 4, 5 seconds back, 6 seconds back, and you can see it on the spot. He looks, boom. If the guy lied, if the guy says, I did not kick him in the pills, you know, and he's right, okay, no problem. If you did kick him in the pills, maybe disqualification. You can't lie and kick in the pills. You see, that's 2 double falls then. So there's got to be a rule for that also. If he lies about it, he should be punished severely.
Beaten?
Maybe with a whip.
Beaten?
Softly.
Oh.
You know?
Beaten softly.
Yeah.
Killing
you know, don't leave any big marks, you know.
Yeah.
Nowadays, they don't understand that, you know.
Yeah.
That's a long time ago that we could do that.
Yeah, back in those days where men were men.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's
hey, speaking of, back in those days when Republicans and Democrats got along. Okay, let's face it, there's always going to be political differences. That's why we have 2 parties. But there was a sense of compromise somewhere along the line, and things got done. Why am I getting political here? Because politics is the only reason that MMA is not legalized in the state of New York. It's the only reason. It's not about it being too violent, too rough, too scary. If it were that way, there would be no MMA at all. You couldn't have them on Indian reservations, as you can now. There would not be the underground fighting. They would bust that, but they allow it. It's not at all about how dangerous or deadly or, heaven forbid, that boxing doesn't want MMA in the Empire State. None of that is true. This has been the show that is consistently giving you that information throughout the course of time because we have talked to the experts and found out exactly what's going down. And here's what's going down. 2 groups can't get along. Democrats, Republicans, whichever one you want to call them here. The Culinary Union in New York State does not want the UFC in the state of New York. They have a problem with the Fertitta brothers primarily and with Zuffa in general. And it's a tough call. I'm not saying who's right or wrong here, but for New York, the last holdout, the only state that doesn't have MMA, for that to ever happen, they're going to have to find common ground, find a negotiator, an arbitrator that can bring both sides together. No more name calling, no more finger pointing, no going around the back of everything. Just come straight out and say, we don't like you, we don't like you. We cannot get along, but here's a guy that may help us both out. We could bring the fast-growing sport of MMA, specifically the UFC, to Madison Square Garden. We can all make some nice money on this. If that happens, and I don't think it will soon, but if it does, then MMA will become a reality in New York State, and not until then.
Boom. Rest for your case. Nice one. And it's true. It's the truth, the whole truth.
So. Nothing but the truth. So hopefully everybody can get along, and I guarantee you this, 51 weeks from today, we'll do a look back at 2014.
We do.
Next week, we have a regular show. We hope you join us. Until then, I'm Kenny Rice.
I'm Boss Rutten, and as always, Godspeed and party on, El Guapo.